What do we do when it comes to our kids on the internet, and what are they looking at? And they're great babysitters, these devices, brilliant babysitters. And, we've become lazy. Well, just take it, go and have a look on there. There it is. There, we're talking here. Here's a phone. But what's going on? The myriad of issues that children are grappling with online include exposure to pornography, young boys and gaming addictions, cyberbullying, sextortion, where offenders target victims by tricking them into sending sexually explicit material before blackmailing them, threatening to share the content unless they pay money. This is going on, and we destroy the mental health of kids. Kids are being absolutely destroyed, and Rob Cope says we've handed them social media like it's nothing. Here, have this. It's a ticking time bomb. And he says that products are now available that parents can use to block inappropriate online content, smartphones that contain filters, nude image detection, and filter out keywords and things. He said recently it's the phone that he's been waiting for years, and he joins us now. Rob, g'day, nice to have you on the program.
Hey, g'day, Duncan. Thanks for having me.
Nice. Yeah, nice to hear. Very welcome. My God, my concerns, I've spoken to you a few times now, but my concerns have only been heightened in recent weeks, and not because of any particular event, but just because I'm observing my boy and the boys around him a lot more at the moment. And, we were watching telly the other night, and I made them all put their phones down. They just couldn't. They can't get away from them. It is like an extension of a limb. It's got really bad.
Oh, these things are created to be addictive. I mean, that's the very nature of them. I'm addicted to my phone. I literally have to keep my phone away from me if I'm on the couch watching a TV show. Otherwise, I'll sit there scrolling through my phone, like, oh, I've seen that actor in another film. What film was he in? And then I'll go and I'll spend the whole time scrolling. I mean, the very nature of these things is that we can get a quick dopamine hit by just scrolling for a bit. And, if we're struggling with it, and I'm, nearly 51 years old, and I have a fully formed prefrontal cortex, how much more are our kids struggling with it, with their brains, the way that they're rewiring now in their teen years and stuff. They don't stand a chance. We've literally given them something incredibly addictive, and then we're getting pissed off that they're addicted to it.
Yeah, I know. It's like, adults develop this stuff. Adults are allowing it to happen in the household, and they're watching adults anyway on the phones all the time. So they're mirroring some of our behaviour, and now we're angry with them about it. Oh, we're a bunch of pricks, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a big difference between just having kids and parenting. And a lot of the way that we're parenting, if you actually stood on the outside and looked at it, it would look a lot like neglect, because we're sitting there on our own phones, ignoring our kids. They're sitting there on their tablet or their phone, and we're not engaging. We're not actually parenting, because parenting's hard work. I mean, parenting is exhausting to try to figure this stuff out and to figure out what would be the healthiest way that I could raise this gorgeous human being so that they're going to, launch into this world full of everything that they need. I mean, that takes a lot of time and effort. And they're
pretty disinterested in us too. Yeah, and they're disinterested because we're not exciting and shiny and noisy and bouncy like what they're getting on the internet. So they get all this stuff on their device, and then we expect them to go to school and concentrate and learn for an hour. Just some sort of boring old-fashioned teacher teaching them algebra, or us talking about rules and regulations about life and everything. They're just disinterested. They're tapped out.
Oh, absolutely. And I spend a lot of time. I probably talk to about 300-400 principals a year. I talk to a lot of principals. And a lot of what they're saying is even now starting, like a lot of year ones are developmentally delayed. They're not where they should be with speech. They can't even use scissors. They're nowhere near where they should be compared to, especially if I talk to older principals or teachers who've been teaching for 30 years, they're like, I've never seen anything like it. Kids just aren't developing. And I think it's because we're giving them tablets, because it shuts them up. Hey, you're crying, here, have a tablet, and it shuts them up. And so that's become our go-to. I remember a parent once saying to me, no, I put restrictions in place. My kid's only allowed 3 hours a day on the tablet. And I'm going, 3 hours a day? That's a long time, man. If you think about that, 3 hours would have been talking to people, would have been connecting, running around, bumping into things. It's a huge amount of time.
Well, I looked at this. I told the story yesterday about, and I wrote it in the paper in the weekend. But we were on holiday end of last year, and there were four sort of 13, 14-year-old boys, and we came time to clean up the place. So we asked them to mow the lawns. Big lawn out in their place in Point Wells. Do you think that between the four of them they could mow the lawns? They lasted all up combined about 55 seconds. Yep,
and it's us as parents who have done that, and I'm no saint with this. I've dropped the ball a lot as a parent. There's a lot of my parenting that's just downright embarrassing. But, it's like if we're not putting that time into our kids, if we're not investing the time that they need to learn this stuff, then they're just not going to. So when I go, my sister has a batch up in the Coromandel, and we all go up there as a family so that, all of our siblings with our kids all go up. We have a rule, like none of the kids are allowed on any devices for the whole week that we're away. And so we've got kids now 11 to so the oldest teenager would be 18, and none of them are allowed on devices. And so we just play games all week.
Brilliant.
Just game after game after game. It's amazing. Other people go, well, how did you do that? And you go, well, that's just the culture we created. And it really comes down to the culture. So if you've created a culture where everyone just sits around on their device, then that's what's going to happen. And it's not easy. I mean, parenting is exhausting. Like, it is. It's one of the hardest things we're ever going to do. So I totally get a break.
Yeah.
Put a movie on or something instead for the kids. Instead of giving them a phone or a tablet, put a movie on. Put a couple of episodes of something on where that you can have your downtime as a parent. You can go make the dinner, do what you need to do, but they're not sucked into this vortex or this thing that's glued to their hand.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like a dinosaur, but we simply didn't have these things, and it wasn't that long ago that we were young. We're not that old. I'm 50, and so what were we given? We were given space and time and trust. People. I don't know why they did, but they trusted us, and we were all around the show. We had a bike, we had maybe a hammer and some nails. We created something in the tree or whatever. Ruined Dad's trees or whatever. But I would hang a sock. A ball with a sock with a ball in it, and pretend I was Martin Crowe and hitting the ball until it broke the side of the house. Right. So and that was. What the other day in the Mount Albert Grammar, because they banned the phones a year ago, a rugby ball went through the windows and smashed a window, and the teachers celebrated because finally the kids are back out there. So we've got a long way to go. Nothing. It's not all lost, is it?
It's not that it's all lost. We just really need to realise what this amount of time on a device is doing to our kids, and then ask the question: is this the childhood I want my kid to have? Because they're anxious, they're depressed, they can't go outside and play. They're just like, is this the childhood I dreamed my child would have? And if it's not, then do something about it. And it's literally the culture we create in our homes. If you've got a culture where everyone's sitting around doing nothing, looking at devices, then that's what kids are going to do. That is just what it is. Whereas if you're going, you know what, we did something a little while ago. We even just took the TV out of the house for a month, just to I just want some time away from as much tech as possible. And during that time, my youngest son, who's ADHD, dyslexic, like a real nightmare, he's 14, so it really struggles with this stuff. He read an entire book in a week, like a Heroes of Olympus book, which is 550 pages, just in his spare time.
Wow.
My stepdaughter started writing a book, and she finished writing the book last month. And and it's just without that thing to constantly go to, where we're just sitting there numbing out, doing nothing, the culture changed in our house, and we would lie in front of the fire and listen to Lord of the Rings. We would play card games, and I was like, man, this is what I want for my kids. This is the environment.
It's so old school, but it seems so old school, but it's actually, that was normal. Can I just say, with recently, I've been on this Celebrity Treasure Island thing, right, recently, and I was asked today by a journalist what was the most amazing thing about it, and I said, well, we didn't have our phones, and now I can't say how long I was there for, but say if you were there for a long time, maybe you were without your phone for 3.5 weeks or whatever, or 3 weeks, and you formed really good relationships with all the other crew. Do you know why? Because you had nothing else to do. You had to communicate. And one night we sat around talking and telling all our stories and everything, and it was the most incredible emotional night because we were talking to each other, and no one was distracted because no one had a phone.